Hello, my name is James Anderson. This is my graduate research project for Education 512, Learning to be Teacher Leaders. Section 1, Assessment, specifically, knowing where your students are in relation to curricular expectations. Differentiation. Because students progress at different rates, it makes sense that assessments can be taken or should be taken at different times. This is done in order to effectively gauge where each student is on the learning path. Assessments that are performance tasks are strong choices according to the book, as they ask students to do instead of talking about a topic. Asking students to apply knowledge instead of simply repeating back the facts that they have memorized is the best way to judge how much learning has occurred. In tracking student progress, it is important that we remember to compare a student's progress only against themselves, and this is done to show individual progress. We should avoid comparative grade posting as it discourages poorly performing students. We want to encourage students by showing them the progress that they have made, not to discourage them by showing the progress that others have made. The purpose of assessment. Assessment measures a student's learning and mastery of a topic. Assessments should be used to form instruction to improve upon areas of weakness. And overall, the goal of assessment is to allow students to display their understanding and also to allow the instructor to identify areas where more instruction may be needed. Section 2, Planning, specifically short-term planning. Weekly planning. Know the school calendar. This is important because, as the book says, there are more short weeks that appear on the calendar than you think there are. And nothing is going to ruin an extended lesson more than having a long break in the middle of it for a holiday of some sort, because when you return from the holiday, the students will have forgotten everything that you covered at the beginning portion of the lesson, and you wind up doing it all again, which is a waste of your time and the students' time. Daily planning. It seems obvious, but it's a really good idea to have a plan prior to your class. In particular, this is useful to new teachers as it provides a script that keeps you on track until the subroutines of running a classroom and conducting lessons becomes automatic. Objectives. An important component of short-term planning is the fact that you must have a learning goal in mind to create your plans. Objectives are best achieved if there are defined components to them, and there is some observable way that you can determine that the objective has been met. Following on from objectives are assessments. Assessments help you determine if there has been progress made towards the learning objective. Assessments should be organized in the same order as the students learn their material, and this helps you to identify areas that are poorly understood. If many of your students score poorly in a particular area, that's a red flag that something is wrong with that part of the instruction and it needs to be reviewed. Resources and materials. A teacher's colleagues are an excellent resource for lesson material. This is because they have more experience, they have done this before, they have a pretty good idea of what works and doesn't work, so never hesitate to ask your colleagues. Also, clearly defined objectives will help shape what resources that you draw upon and determine what materials that you would use in order to best reach the objective. Lesson structure. Share the purpose of the lesson so that everyone is on the same page. It's easier to work together when everyone has a clear idea of what they're trying to do. You should allow the students to use their knowledge somehow so that they can then perform a task where they get feedback. And the feedback helps them gain understanding, either confirming ideas that are correct or correcting ideas that are incorrect. Uh, Lesson plans should be reflected on and revised and adjusted as needed. Nothing ever works perfectly, and it can always be improved. Section 3, Instruction. Specifically, feedback. The purpose of feedback is to confirm ideas that students have that are correct and to fix ideas or procedures that they have that are not correct. Feedback needs to be more than telling a student that the work they've done was good or bad. Feedback needs to instruct the student as to why the work was correct or incorrect. With feedback, students can modify ideas, and that helps them move towards mastery. Feedback is a very powerful tool, as it is one of the few times that a teacher can address students in a one-on-one setting, even if it's only with a couple of sentences. In my attempt to become a teacher, it would benefit me greatly to implement some of these subsection headings as tasks or habits that I will use. Assessment of where my students are in relation to objectives will help to shape my instruction goals and my methods for getting them there. Short-term planning would help me plan my lessons towards meeting the learning goals that have been chosen or laid out. And feedback. Feedback is a powerful tool that I can use to help confirm student knowledge or to reshape students' ideas and help them reach our learning goals. There is always something more to learn about being an effective teacher. Here are some references I found with further information on the subject.